Good evening. I now call to order the Tuesday, August 26, 2025, 6 p.m. regular school board meeting. Please stand for a moment of silence. Okay, we will now present the colors. Follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the national anthem. May I retire the colors? I want to thank Matanzas Army JROTC, Right Guard J.C. Kasha, presenting our national colors, Commander Staff Sergeant Cole Vaughn, presenting our state colors, Cadet Staff Sergeant Carr Vaughn, and Left Rifle Cadet First Lieutenant Leilana Kirkman. We also were advised by Sergeant Major Spano and Major Mallard. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, we will now do roll call.
Lauren Ramirez, District 5, present.
Janie, Ruddy, present.
Derek Barr is present.
Christy, Chong, present.
Will Furry present?
LaShakia Moore.
Okay, so we have some special announcements tonight, and we're going to start with Dads Take Your Child to School Day, and we have presenter Mr. Doug Glasgow. Welcome.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent Moore. A resolution of the Flagler County School Board recognizing September 24th, 2025 as Dads Take Your Child to School Day in Flagler County. Whereas it is essential to ensure that Florida's children have a strong foundation and a good education, and whereas family engagement in education prepares our students to be lifelong learners and meaningful contributors to society, and whereas more than 30 years of research support the belief that a positive relationship endures between increased family engagement and student academic success, and whereas the involvement of fathers and father figures in our children's education brings many benefits, including improved test scores and academic performance, better attitudes toward school, and a decreased likelihood of behavioral concerns. And whereas there are many ways that fathers and father figures can engage in the education of their children, including assisting with homework, regularly attending parent-teacher conferences, having an open dialogue with teachers concerning academic progress, participating in school activities, and arranging work schedules to bring their children to or from school. And whereas the Flagler Schools has witnessed the power of a father or father figure within programs such as the African American Mentoring Program, in which students re-engage in school and graduate, with many going on to higher education or into the workforce. And whereas all Flagler School campuses are encouraged to invite fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, foster fathers, and other significant male role models to participate in the achievement and development of their children. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Flagler County School Board that we designate Thursday, September 24th, 2025, as Fathers Take Your Child to School Day in Flagler County Schools, adopted by the members of the Flagler County School Board, Flagler County, Florida, at the regular open public meeting thereof held on the 25th day of August 2025, signed William Furry, Chair, School Board of Flagler County, LaShakia Moore, Superintendent, Flagler Schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Glasgow. Okay, so we'll move on to our next special announcement. It's National Arts and Education Week proclamation, and we have presenters Amy Fulmer and Mark Dreyer.
Good evening. Nice to see all of you this evening and Superintendent Moore. We are here as a direct support organization of Flagler Schools. That is what the Fitzgerald Performing Arts Center is. Our mission is to bring inspirational, educational, and cultural experiences to Flagler County. However, at the very heart of that is arts education. None of that happens without arts education, and we are very proud of our role in Flagler Schools. Mark Dreyer is here with me. He is a board member, he is a performer, and an attorney, a wonderful attorney, and also a proud parent of two students who are passionate for the arts and lived it in Flagler County Schools. So we're going to have him read. We also brought lots of folks from all over the county in the arts. So we have everyone from Flagler Cultural Council, just lots of advocates here. So we're looking forward to having a big photo app after that. Mr. Dreyer?
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Moore. Good evening, School Board. Whereas arts education, comprising a rich array of disciplines, including dance, media arts, music, theater, visual arts, and more, is a well-founded subject and an essential element of complete and well-rounded education for all students. And whereas arts education enables students to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills, imagination and creativity, discipline and collaboration, alternative ways to communicate and express feelings and ideas, and cross-cultural understanding, which supports academic success across the curriculum. And whereas arts education contributes to increased attendance and graduation rates and prepares students for college, career, and citizenship readiness. And whereas arts education contributes to personal growth outside of the classroom, including increasing a student's likelihood to participate in civic life, volunteerism, altruism, and community engagement. And whereas to succeed in today's economy, students must masterfully develop traits that business leaders demand in a 21st century workforce. And whereas the School Board of Flagler County is charged with the education and development of well-rounded students, now therefore be it resolved by the Flagler County School Board that we do hereby recognize September 15th through 19th, 2025 as Arts in Education Week in Flagler County Schools, and call upon the staff and families to observe the week with appropriate activities. Adopted by the members of the Flagler County School Board, Flagler County, Florida, at the regular open public meeting thereof, held on the 26th day of August in the year of our Lord, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Dreyer. We'd all come up for a photo.
You want a picture as well? I'll take it. Here. You got it. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
We kick off Arts Education Week with Circus de Canines. We have a circus show, and we are going to feature arts education out front for the 2 hours before the show. So we hope you'll join us for the big kick out. It's a big circus. It's a tail wagging celebration of the arts.
Sounds great. Okay, so now we'll move on to Suicide Prevention Month proclamation, and we have Miss Brandy Williams to read it for us.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Moore. A resolution of the Flagler County School Board recognizing the month of September as National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. Whereas September is designated as National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month as recognized by the National Association of Mental Illness, and whereas many health officials and community leaders locally, state, and nationally understand that mental issues or illnesses is a significant issue of concern, particularly among our youth. And whereas we realize that addressing mental health issues requires more open and honest discussions about mental health, and whereas one major hurdle is removing the stigma attached to mental health treatment and discussion. And whereas parents, teachers, administrators, coaches, mentors, public officials, and peer students recognize the importance of emotional health, and whereas we all can play a valuable role in assisting others who may show symptoms of stress, depression, anxiety, or mental illness. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Flagler County School Board that Flagler Schools recognizes the month of September as National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. And be it further resolved that Flagler Schools staff will encourage a positive, safe school environment and encourage helping others while also promoting access to school-based mental health supports and recognizing when young people are at risk for or are experiencing mental health problems. Adopted by the members of the Flagler County School Board, Flagler County, Florida, at the regular open meeting thereof held on the 26th day of August 2025, signed by Mr. William Furry, Chair, School Board of Flagler County, and LaShakia Moore, Superintendent, Flagler Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, so that leads us on to Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And we have Ms. Sean Ratan. Oh, no, we have somebody in place.
Well, thank you for inviting us to be with you tonight. My name is Michelle Bartlome.
Hi, Michelle.
I serve as the communications manager for Advent Health in Flagler and St. Johns County. We are very proud to serve our communities. I'm here tonight with Carol Hall, who serves as a radiation therapist for Advent Health Palm Coast, and she'll be reading our proclamation.
Good evening. A resolution of the Flagler County School Board recognizing the month of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Flagler County. Whereas each year, thousands of children are diagnosed with life-threatening disease of cancer. And whereas childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children. And whereas 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will have chronic health conditions as a result of their treatment toxicity, with 1/4 being classified as severe to life-threatening. And whereas the National Cancer Institute recognizes the unique research needs of childhood cancer and the associated need for increased funding to carry this out. And whereas researchers and healthcare professionals work diligently, dedicating their expertise to treat and cure children with cancer. Whereas hundreds of nonprofit organizations at the local and national level, including the American Childhood Cancer Organization, are helping children with cancer and their families cope through educational, emotional, and financial support. And whereas increased awareness will bolster public support of the disease and thus increase funding for the development of new treatment options and diagnostic tools. And whereas every 2 minutes, a child is diagnosed with cancer and will hear the words, "You have cancer." And whereas the quality of life of these beautiful children will depend on future treatment and diagnosis developments. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Flagler County School Board, the month of September 2025 is observed as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And be it further resolved that Flagler Schools urges all citizens of Flagler County, interest groups, and affected persons to join us in promoting awareness of childhood cancer and fostering the understanding of the impact of disease on these small patients and their families and caregivers, as well as take an active role in the fight to end childhood cancer. Adopted by the members of Flagler County School Board, Flagler County, Florida, and the regular open public meeting thereof held on this 26th day of August 2025.
Thank you so much for coming and reading that. We'd like to get a picture with you if you could. Okay, now we will move on to fentanyl awareness and education proclamation. And we have Flagler Care's Substance Use Prevention Team and the Flagler County Drug Court Team. Welcome to you all. Mr. Finelli.
Good evening, Chairman Furry, School Board Superintendent Moore. I have some special guests with us. I have Christy Ambergy and Savannah Prince from Flagler Care's Substance Use Prevention Team. And I also have Mike Feldbauer and Renee DeAngelis from the Drug Court Foundation, and they're going to help me read this proclamation into the record this evening. A proclamation of the Flagler County School Board proclaiming August 21st, 2025 as Fentanyl Awareness and Education Day in Flagler County. Whereas House Bill 259, signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis on June 6, 2025, and effective July 1, 2025, created Section 683.3343 Florida statutes officially designating August 21st of each year as Fentanyl Awareness and Education Day in the state of Florida. And
whereas fentanyl is a powerful synthetic opioid that is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine, and even small doses can cause fatal overdoses. And whereas Florida and the nation are experiencing an alarming rise in overdose deaths involving fentanyl, with a devastating impact on families, individuals, and communities, particularly among youth.
Whereas Section 683.3343 Florida statutes encourages public schools to promote awareness of the dangers of fentanyl and potential overdoses by hosting educational events and sharing critical resources. Whereas such events may include education on the prevention of fentanyl abuse and addiction, information on local school and community resources for drug prevention and how to access them, and discussions about youth substance and use-related health concerns. And next.
Whereas Flagler Schools, the Flagler Cares Prevention Team, and a variety of other community partners are committed to working collaboratively to protect and educate our youth, families, and community members by raising awareness, reducing stigma, and providing access to life-saving information and support. And whereas through education, community engagement, and early intervention, we can help prevent fentanyl-related tragedies and empower our youth to make safe, informed choices.
Now, therefore, we do hereby recognize August 21st, 2025 as Fentanyl Awareness and Education Day in Flagler County and encourage all residents, educators, students, parents, and community leaders to participate in activities and programs that raise awareness about the dangers of fentanyl and promote prevention and education. Dated this 26th day of August 2025, LaShakia Moore, Superintendent, Flagler Schools, William Furry, Chair, Flagler County School Board.
Thank you.
And if I could just brag on these two groups for a minute, our Flagler Cares prevention team set up tables at both high schools this past week to help promote fentanyl awareness and share education regarding. So thank you for you guys for doing that. And then our Drug Court Foundation was paramount in getting Narcan in our schools, and they are the ones that actually help to supply the restocking of Narcan within our schools to keep our kids safe. So two very important organizations, and I'm glad that they're here to support this proclamation today. Did either of you guys have anything you'd like to share?
I'd like to share an invitation to the board and to all the audience that not only is today, August 21st, our recognition of this for the state of Florida, but the entire month of August is International Overdose Awareness Day. August 31st, next Sunday, is International Overdose Awareness Day. And for the last 7 years, or this is our 7th or 8th year, we have an event that day we'd like to invite you to. We call it a walk over the bridge. We meet at Wadsworth Park at between 5:15 and 5:30. We gather together and then we walk over the bridge to Veterans Park, which we have speakers that are going to be there. Some of it, I would advise you to bring some tissue. And some of it will make you happy. But it's important that we allow our community to see what's happening and what's going on. Substance abuse in Flagler County is serious. And we need to let the world know that we want to be out there and be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to get a picture with all of you, if we could.
Sorry, one last
Oh,
comment.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
So I'm Savannah Prince. I'm with Flagler Cares. We just wanted to thank Flagler Schools, our superintendent, and our school board for their support and attention to this very important issue. We were welcomed into Matanzas and Flagler Palm Coast High School, where we were able to speak with youth. They are interested, they are engaged, and they want to be educated. I was so impressed how each of them were committed to their health and understanding what's going on in their environment. We are committed to supporting Flagler Schools and empowering youth to make healthy choices. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our special announcements for this evening, but now we move on to Superintendent Strategic Plan Spotlight.
We had a very extensive conversation about the strategic plan today. I do encourage our community to go back and watch that section of today's workshop as it goes over each of the different goal areas and what our progress towards making those goals have been. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Moore. We'll now move on to Flagler County Education Foundation Spotlight, and we have Ms. Teresa Rizzo.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent. This is actually one of our most favorite things to do. We get to be prize patrol tonight, so get ready for us to give some checks away. On behalf of the Flagler County Education Foundation, I'm excited to spotlight several grants that our team has recently secured to support key initiatives across Flagler schools. We've had a very busy and successful grant season, and we are so excited to share this with Flagler schools. These grants reflect not only strong partnerships, but also the confidence our community has in the work that is happening here in our classrooms. First, we would like to present the Florida Power and Light Grant. This grant is dedicated to strengthening science education in Flagler schools. It will provide professional development for our science teachers by our science teachers, which is incredible. Our educators will be sharing their most successful Florida State Standard aligned lessons with each other, creating a day of collaboration and innovation. It's on a Saturday, and it is always jam-packed. So I'm always excited to see those teachers and how dedicated they are. Each teacher will also leave with a tote full of science supplies to take directly into their classrooms to ensuring that students benefit immediately. And at this time, I'd like to invite Heidi Alves, our science curriculum specialist, to join me up here and accept this check and funding on behalf of the Education Foundation, courtesy of Florida Power and Light. And if you can just hang out here for a minute, we're going to do one picture to save some time. The second grant we would like to present tonight is through the hard work of Madison Asbill and Stephanie Ellis on our team. They secure funding through Geico, first ever time we've been able to do this, for our Stuff Bus program. This grant ensures we can respond to the unique needs of our students and educators, whether it is a size 16 shoe, which yes, we've had to purchase, adapted PE equipment, or even headphones for our classrooms. So we are grateful to Ebru Snodgrass. If you'd come up, Miss Ebru. She leads our, we like to call it our warehouse closet for our Stuff Bus program, that our trail program takes inventory, orders, sends them out to the schools. They're absolutely incredible. They cleaned out the Stuff Bus for us this week. So we would like for her to accept this check presented by our Geico representative, Robert Asbill. $11,000 from Geico. Thank you. Our third grant tonight is thanks to the efforts of Mariotti Johnson, who secured funding for building our Classroom to Careers initiatives. This will include our county-wide career fair on November 14th and our 2 middle school career fairs in January. The opportunities ensure that our students have clear resources, connections, and pathways as they plan for life after graduation, aligned with our Diploma Plus program. So we're so grateful to the United Way for their continued partnership in this work. And I'd like to ask Dr. Angela O'Brien, who has been part of this work, to come and accept this check on behalf of United Way. And finally, the Consortium of Education Foundations and our Beaver Toyota teacher grants. We're proud to announce that through the consortium funding, which is also matched by Beaver Toyota, we'll be able to award $76,000 in teacher grants this year. The program will open on September 15th, so educators, be checking your email. We will make available academic grants and also behavior grants. So I'm going to ask Mr. Jeff Reeves and Mr. John Finelli if you would come up and accept these grants on behalf of the teachers who will benefit from them through the 25-26 school year. These grants are possible because of the strong relationships and commitments from our local businesses, our partners, and our community organizations who believe in investing in Flagler schools. Together, we're breaking down those barriers. We are fueling innovation and creating opportunities that prepare every student for success. So thank you for allowing the foundation to spotlight these wonderful partners and providing funding for these amazing projects. Thank you all.
Let's come up for a picture.
Yep.
Okay, so now we will move on with our business meeting here. To start off, we're now at the approval of minutes, and I'd entertain a motion to approve 4.01 through 4.05.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Mr. Bars. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. So now we will move on to the adoption of our agenda. Are there any changes to or modifications?
I do not have any.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Chair Furry?
Yes?
I would like to bring 11.01 out to action, please.
11.01, okay. Okay, so we will move that to 1801. All right. So I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda as modified.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Ms. Ramirez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move forward with today's agenda. All right, so that now leads us on to public comment. Now, this section of public comment is for only items that are listed on the agenda for tonight. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment for agenda items only?
We have public comments.
And are these items for comments for agenda items?
They have specific, they're for transportation, bus
Okay.
stop, and spending.
So any non-agenda item comments will be at the last comment period of this meeting, which will be at the end. And I will call that again. So if there's anybody that has a comment for non-agenda items, please come forward now. I'm sorry, for an agenda item, please come forward. I'm not seeing any. I'm going to close public comment, and we will move on with tonight's business. Now, we are now moving on to the consent portion of our agenda, and this section will move quite swiftly, as we have already workshopped all of these items prior to tonight's business meeting. So first off is financial consent. And I'd entertain a motion to approve 7.01 through 7.04.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Mr. Bars. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously. So now we'll move on to academic services consent. I'd entertain a motion to approve 9.01 through 9.03.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Ruddy,
Second.
second by Ms. Ramirez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Now move on to operational service consent. I'd entertain a motion to approve 10.01 to 10.02.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Mr. Bars. Any discussion?
I just want to shout out the work that Mr. Bush has been doing to collaborate with the leaders of the school, as well as some of the new processes and progress in ensuring that the five-year plan is influenced by not only that principal, but also by some additional consulting from the district. And I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more cohesion around how those capital funds are spent. Not that they weren't being spent in a responsible way, but guiding towards a common vision for each of our campuses. Thank you.
And on 10, Mr. Chair, and on 10.02, I just want to, that the safety issues that we had related to, from the safety inspection and how the district went quickly to resolve those, I want to make a point of David Bozardette and his team of making sure that those corrections were made immediately. So thank you very much.
All right, if there aren't any more comments, I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Okay, so that moves us to Human Resource Services consent, and we will only be discussing or approving and voting on 11.01. I'm sorry, was it 11.02 move to action, or was it 01?
01 to
Okay,
action.
sorry, I had marked that incorrectly. Okay. Correction, we will be voting on 11.02. I'd entertain a motion to approve 11.02.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Bars.
Second.
Second. Was it a tie? I don't. Second by Ms. Ruddy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. That takes us to Superintendent Consent 12.01. Entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Ms. Ramirez. Any discussion?
I am moved to amend the legislative platform item to include the language requesting the additional workforce education dollars through the FTC proposal be included.
Okay, just a moment here. So we have just one item in board docs here as an attachment. Which one were you speaking to add?
So the piece that was discussed earlier today, Ms. Moore or Mr. Delaney, can you clarify, should that attachment have also been included in the agenda today in order for us to be able to determine an amendment motion?
It's not required in order for the board to vote on this item tonight or to make changes to it.
So it's the legislative item number 3 to include with the local items 1 and 2, the application and brief summary. That was the additional draft included in today's workshop under the legislative items. So what I'm moving is that this particular agenda item be amended to include it. So we would need to vote on whether the board would like to include it as part of the vote for the overall platform. Is that correct, Mr. Delaney, the correct approach, or would you recommend something different?
Sure. What I'd recommend is that you offer an amendment, see if we get a second, and then move to potentially adopt that amendment, and then the board would vote on the package as a whole.
Because we have a motion on the second on the floor now, so this is an amendment. So if you want to state yours as an amendment.
Yes, I move to amend this legislative platform to include a third local platform agenda item, that being the proposed FTC request to expand the workforce development and modernize the curriculum delivery methods that was included in today's workshop earlier.
When you're saying third, are you talking about making
Well, we
it
need
the
to
third?
before we discuss
Correct.
it. We need to have a if there's no second, the motion dies or it goes into discussion.
I'm going to second it. I'm going to second it for discussion.
Okay, so I have a second from Mr. Barr, so we can move forward with discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Chung. You wanted some clarification?
When you say third, are you talking about that being a third priority or just adding it into the whole proposal so that?
So as you recall, the proposal currently sits at 2 different elements for our local requests. I am proposing an amendment to include the third, so we would retain the Rural Renaissance and the request for the recognition of VPK and adult ed students in the capital PICO funds recognition.
Okay, so it goes under local priorities. Okay.
Correct.
So this is referring, for clarification, to the special project that we discussed at the workshop today that you proposed, that you brought in, is that correct?
It is in response to the additional procurement request application specifically to be used for FTC's workforce development program in order to be able to modernize it and expand it with an initial influx of those dollars to help us meet the governor's goal of the number one in career and technical education by 2030. So what I'm asking is that our platform include Rural Renaissance and the capital request to be funded the same as for all students, VPK and adult ed, as well as include the third item for which the application and the summary was included this afternoon.
Thank you. We did have a consensus earlier that because of that component would require us to have matching dollars, that we would wait to see if we could procure that dollars, because it would be, the way it's written, we'd have to fund an equal amount of $1 million for to have the total project of $2 million. That was where we left off at the workshop. I don't know if that's still the consensus, but we do have a motion and a second. So if there's any more discussion, we can have that, or we can call a vote on your amendment.
If I could just ask a question from Mr. Delaney for clarification. At that workshop, because there was no vote, is that technically a consensus? That was not my understanding, and so this would be the place where we determine if there would be a consensus, or am I incorrect?
If I'm recognized. Certainly their feedback was given by the board, and that can be viewed not in the sense of an official vote or not anything that is binding on the board during this meeting, but the sentiments of the various board members who held forth were made known.
So this particular, let me recognize.
Yes.
So this particular issue that we brought up was a consensus for us. Did we think that we want to bring this forward? I think that the idea of the proposal is exactly where we probably want to be. However, going back to what Chair Furry said, is that we realized that we wanted to go back to FTC to have them look at ways to some potential grants that they're working on, the federal funding piece, whether we would have those matching funds before we would put that into this local priority list. That was how I understood that from our meeting today, and then we can come back at a later date to ensure that it's prepared if we can find out that information, and we do have the funds to put towards that 50% match, that we would have enough time to do that before our November meeting.
So my understanding, and is Mr. Sarah here? And I'm not sure if, is that one of the items is we need to be timely with this. And so we should make a decision whether we want to go forward or not, and the actual dollar request on the application may be modified. The wording and other things can be modified. In the application process, there was no line items or restrictions stating where those matching dollars come from. In the end, all of the requests that we make historically, where we're wanting, or in the future, for if they continue to have this matching 50%, every single one of our dollars is a taxpayer dollar, whether it's federal or state. And so to exclude that would mean that you're saying no organization could possibly meet that 50% if their monies were primarily from taxpayer dollars. So, Mr. Sarah, am I incorrect in that that application could not be tweaked or modified going forward?
At this stage, the application that needs to be filled out in November would need to be filled out properly and complete. If there was different information that changed from now to then, that would modify that request, but it would be best that everything would be prepared before we went to our legislators to have them put that into an application.
Correct. And I did complete an application. So the question being is if the dollar amount for the federal funds indicated in that application needs to be changed, would it be, we could do so between now and November, as opposed to voting for part of the legislative platform now versus later?
The idea to add it later would be so that this goes in clean. We're able to work with the county and put this information into the county program. And then if this funding issue is vetted out over the next 2 months and meets the criteria needed to move forward to the legislature, it would be my suggestion that we do that at a later date, because if we do not have everything in a row now and continue to change going forward, it lessens our credibility working with our two legislators in Tallahassee.
Yeah, but we're, Mr. Chair.
You have the floor.
But we're putting in the application, though, that we have $125,000 worth of federal funds. Where's that $125,000 coming from?
From WIOA and Perkins. Those are the funds that typically help FTC continue to operate.
And the same for, and we're saying we're going to put the $75,000 from our local budget into that.
Which would be a portion of the money that we typically provide FTC anyway for the students who are essentially dual enrolled. Because all of those funds are going to be used in order to, for students to participate in these programs. But what I stated earlier was that what they're missing is an infusion of money in order to be able to update and change and incorporate a blended learning model. And so essentially their current expenditures to run those programs are what would continue to be spent, and the additional would be the curriculum, the instructional design development, and the LMS, and some additional equipment in order to bring those standards up to current par, if you will.
Mr. Chair, may I be
Yes.
recognized? A couple things that I request. One, with this current application, we would be identifying $575,000 that we as a board would have to have identified in order to infuse into this current plan, $575,000. And when we think about this, is it that we are already providing $575,000 worth of support and services to our K-12 students that are part of this program, because our general dollars have to be used for those students specifically. The other thing that I ask that you just consider as you consider this motion is flexibility. This is highly operational, flexibility for staff to be able to work with FTC in order to ensure that this is something that the appetite of FTC, as well as something that we can actually bring about, is what I ask that you consider as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your previous question, specifically the targeted students would be those who are 16 to 18 years old and still in high school, because the youth grant funds that typically go towards career and technical education programs can only be spent on students who have dropped out of school. And so those students who are currently enrolled in a high school and are 16 to 18 years old who want a pre-apprenticeship program or dual enrollment in a career and technical college, they don't have that level of funding for the expense for those types of hands-on programs.
But this is to, just for clarification from our side, on staff side, this is to include any of our K-12 students that will be eligible to take a course at Flagler Technical College.
Well, my understanding is that there are also age restrictions in certain programs.
Absolutely,
Yes.
but I'm just capturing that this proposal is for those students because
Yes.
there's different funding that if it was
Correct.
just a private student coming in
Correct.
to the school, the system that is beyond the age of 18 per se.
Correct, yes.
So, Mr. Chair, I am still a little bit concerned about where this particular money is coming from. I am concerned about that because that's not how I took that this morning or this afternoon, so I apologize for that. That's how we're going to be using current dollars that we're already providing to other students and other aspects to then bring over to using our state dollars for this as a match, correct? That's what we're proposing.
The WIOA funds and Perkins funds are funds that the director of FTC already applies for and receives each year.
Got it.
I'm not proposing sending any additional funds. We also send funds to them based upon a certain calculation for students who are choosing to take classes there, just like we would a dual enrollment student. But to my understanding and research in this, it's a lot less, in making those programs and FTC difficult to be able to expand to the level that we would maybe like to see to set our county up for success in the future. I totally understand that, and again, putting this forth in a relatively short time. If you think about the timeline, and I agree with you, this was a concern that I had shared with several people that I spoke with, that if this is our legislative platform that we as a school board own, and we were provided exactly essentially a finished product to review for 1 week, and then essentially the next week be required to vote on it, as well as, I'm trying to include some additional advocacy here for what we all agree are career and technical programs that are in demand, is a short timeline. So we have until November, but I'm also being told we need to approve this because it makes us look better when the application's earlier and such. So if this is going forward to provide us the time that we need in order for us as a board to have a real voice in this legislative platform, then I would recommend that process start earlier or include us in the draft proposals as opposed to receiving essentially completed materials.
Well, I would say that I think the spirit of it, everybody agrees with. We like the substance of it, but I'm challenged with moving something forward that we have to match at a 50% and use the resources of our lobbying efforts for something that we don't know yet, that we can fulfill our side of the bargain to make it happen. So, in our workshop earlier, I was comfortable with the fact that, hey, let's move forward with these priorities, and then if we can come to a clear pathway to fund the other side, we have until November to bring this back. And I don't think it really is going to be a drawback to our effort if we do that, but at least we're not allocating resources to something that we may not be able to perform on, and that's my position on that.
So, Mr. Sarah, what would that look like if we voted on the platforms provided by your group, right, that we've discussed and provided some input on?
Yes, ma'am.
But then later, if it's so advantageous for us to vote on that package tonight, why is it that this other element that we're all interested in maybe determining if it has potential can wait?
And before Mrs. Sarah responds, I want to clear up that this board does not have to take action tonight on any of this. In order to be included in the countywide unified booklet, the board must take action tonight for that portion, anticipating when we believe our delegation meeting will be held here in Flagler County. So the board does not have to take action at all. Mr. Sarah mentioned today, it's been mentioned before, that the board can include, if you are favorable to options 1 and 2, move that forward to be included in the unified book while you continue to identify if there is an additional ask that you want to have that is financial to be included and done by November. So I do want to be very clear on that. The board does not have to take any action tonight. Tonight allows for you to be included in the unified book for the county. However, if you don't, we just aren't in it, and that's not a big deal.
I just don't think that that's a good look. You know what I mean? And I don't want to, cause any possible reason not to support our other 2 agendas by not making that particular booklet. I think that it's important to be present in that and to present it. So you're saying in this option where we hold back the third, that there's a possibility if we decided on a later date that the third option is viable, that the first 2 would be in the booklet, but the third would not, and it essentially would be an addendum item in some way.
Correct, which Bob and I will work with our members with that specific addendum, and it could be a platform that includes all 3 and it's reprinted and we share, or it is a separate single-page appropriations platform from the district, and we could look at it that way specifically where this is substantive, and that would be, unfortunately, because of the timing, if we had the ability to wait till December, you're absolutely right, and to spread this out for the next several months, have these discussions, work with finance, and get all the ducks in a row, it would be fantastic if we had that opportunity. Unfortunately, like I expressed earlier, October starts our interim meeting, so having this framework put in line gives us a leg up to work with our folks. If things change, like I said, if appropriations need to be added, the work will still be the same. The difference is it just will not be in the book. And from our standpoint, having a unified platform with the rest of the districts where our 2 members are able to quickly look up and find information, and if we have to supplement through a piece of paper, we do that very well. But having that in a nice, collated place where they can pick it up on their desk and go through is very helpful for our members and very helpful for our community.
May I have the floor, Chair Furry? So, Ms. Ruddy, I really do love that platform. And today during the workshop, it was hard to see, do we have the 50% funding? And I know we're on this timeline, and I wish as well that we had more time to ask the right questions, because this is what our community needs. And, we're very focused on our students getting into the workforce, but staying here in Flagler County. I think too, as like a plan B, like let's say, potentially we cannot get that 50% funding if we do decide to present these 2 platforms. Potentially we could have $2.25 million, and if we get that renaissance, there are so many avenues we could utilize that for and pre-plan and just continue, because this is a yearly thing. But it is exactly what we need, but we need time too, unfortunately. But I do love it.
Okay, so we still have an amended motion on the floor that we have to vote on. Any other discussion, or are we ready to close discussion?
Yeah, I echo the comments of everybody else. So.
Okay. No. All right. So all in favor of the amendment to include the project as described by Ms. Ruddy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. The motion fails 4-1. Okay, so that brings us back to our original motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve 12.01.
Again, from Mr. Chair, again, today, as we begin working through this and have been, I just want to thank the Sarah brothers for working with us. The hours that we've spent working on trying to pull this together was going to be best for Flagler Schools as we try to bring more money into our district, as Ms. Ruddy and others have already spoken about with our local priorities for what we have on the screen here with 1 and 2, and then the areas when it comes down to our state issues. So we're going to be optimistic this year that we're going to be able to get the funding that we hoped that we were going to get last year. That's going to be hopefully be a game changer for us in a lot of different areas for Flagler Schools. So again, thank you for your work, sir.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 You have to redo the motion, or?
No, it's still on the table, yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, hearing none, it passes unanimously. Okay. So that will now move us to our new action item 18.01 under Human Resources, which was previously 11.01, Professional Salary Matrix.
Chair Furry, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I motion that the salary lane for district registered nurse be reclassified from PAL 3 to PAL 4, PAL 4.
Okay, let's just see what we're doing here. Okay, can you please repeat that?
I move that the salary lane for district registered nurse be reclassified from PAL 3 to PAL 4.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second for discussion?
I'll do a second for discussion.
Okay. I have a second by Mr. Bars. So it's open for discussion.
All right. So I brought this up. This role, it oversees health and safety of all of our campuses. It has not been able to be fulfilled in approximately 1 year due to the amount of the salary lane. However, this role, it requires a nursing degree, a state licensure credential, and at least 3 years of experience in that specific role. So the current salary lane that it's in, it doesn't reflect those requirements. So without a competitive salary, we risk leaving this critical role unfilled. And this is very critical to have. Adjusting this lane would actually just align with it. The salary lane that it's currently in, it just doesn't, to me, make sense after meetings and research and comparing to different districts that are similar in size.
Okay, so I just want to understand, since we haven't workshopped this here, so PAL 3, starting salary of $55,654, you want that salary to be increased to $70,002 at start, or you want the full, okay, the whole lane.
So I believe that it's in the wrong lane. And asking and researching, it feels as if the number was not appropriate for that lane, for the credentials and what they're overseeing. And for example, the PAL 4, we're starting new roles in that lane that do not have a state licensure that's required or the specific requirements. It just doesn't seem it's like it's in the right lane, so.
Board, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
So just to clarify, we're already today voting on this RN, district RN, so different from a school-based nurse, to move from PAAB, where they start at $37,000, to move to $55,000. And now your recommendation is to move that from $55,000 to $70,000 as a starting rate because of a certification and a degree. I will state that those are the same requirements as a teacher, and their salary starting range is 45. When I look at, or 49, when I look at PLA, the PAL 3 column, PAL 4 column, what I see there are very administrative leadership roles, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd love for Mr. Ouellette or Ms. Moore to weigh in. And there's a different salary band when people have to manage programs and entire teams. There's a different level there. Is that what that band is essentially for, Mr. Ouellette?
I would say that actually both bands operate within the supervisory realm.
Okay.
And it's just what level within that middle or upper middle level within the supervisor realm. So PAL 3 is a supervisor existing realm, but PAL 4 is a step up into just below senior management.
And so, for example, our professional standards, the coordinator of professional standards, the teaching and learning, those are all under there where they're required to organize large groups of team members, compliance with state and federal requirements, things of that nature. So would you say that the district RN nurse role would have that same level of supervisory and administrative burden on them?
Well, I'd say that each one of those is unique in that some would be more supervisory and less administrative and compliance, and others would be the inverse. And I would say that the district level nurse does have within that realm, if we step up and get the right person for the right job, as we anticipate doing, there's opportunities there for some pretty heavy compliance and administrative roles. And I'd defer to Dr. O'Brien if she wanted to elaborate more on that. But
And I will just add that we agree that this role could be in a different lane, but we could identify that same thing for many of our different positions that are also could benefit from an increase in the salary. Our recommendation was for the PAL 3, as we are it is significantly more than where it currently was. And so that was our recommendation, but we identified that we work for, the public's government. And so all of our roles can use more pay. And we've brought this up, I'll use this as another opportunity to say what I think is really needed is an opportunity to have a study that looks at all of our roles in this category and other categories and look at the role, the job description included, and look at what the study is for those positions in the surrounding area, and doing that in a more comprehensive way, not one-off for individual positions.
The concern there for me is that if we look at what some of these roles are in terms of competitive pay outside of the school system, doesn't matter what that report says, we can't afford that, right? So I think that, I have another question, Mr. Ouellette. When it says a step, so like step 10, if we hire an RN who has 10 years of emergency room experience, does that mean they're coming in at 10, or because is that step as a 0 because you could have 15 years of RN experience, but you're starting at 0 with the Flagler school system?
steps in the professional and the administrative lane aren't a one-to-one equivalent like they are in the instructional or non-instructional within the bargaining unit. So in other words, you could show up with 5 years and it wouldn't be an automatic step 5. There's also portions of what are those 5 years encapsulated. Were they all private sector? Were they public sector? So not every year is a one-to-one equivalent. So it won't automatically, I had 3 years experience, I'm automatically at step 3. there's a compensation procedural manual that we developed as senior staff that we use in placements for professional and administrative that doesn't do a one-to-one equivalent. It really helps to try and quantify what the level of the experience was and the expertise you're bringing across.
And so if you determine somebody's at a step 5 and they work here a year, does that, in the professional lane, does that mean they're on step 6 the next year?
No.
See, and so I would challenge that that's the issue we have with our professional salary, is that there is not a transparent understanding, because I just saw Dr. O'Brien shake her head yes, that if you're brought in as a 5 and you gain 1 year's experience here, that goes to a 6, but
No, so it is, steps are placement. So steps equal placement. Where are you being placed? So when she's saying yes to it, is you'll get placed and your increase will come based on what is the approved increase from the board each time. A step is a placement. It is not your years of service.
so how do you go from step 5 to step 10?
You don't.
See, that's the issue with our professional salary matrix, not necessarily the starting salaries. So we're literally saying that we could not tell an employee. So this would include all the wonderful people sitting back there giving their evening time, all of the administrators, right? How do I go from a step 5 to a step 10 so I can increase my base salary, not just what my that additional cost of living might be, or something of that nature? You're saying you're stuck?
Can I clarify? No, you're not stuck.
Okay.
And to clarify, and the reason the discussion is, and the state had made changes in the past regarding performance pay. So for example, if you're within the school level administration lane, you don't move up the steps, you go within performance pay. And the performance pay kind of supersedes that. But inside the professional and administrative lane, you are moving within the steps. In our district, it is pretty much an automatic move because past practice has been with steps, but a lot of those are within the purview of the board and the superintendent. In as far as in bad times, you could pause. I unfortunately went through a time in another district where they actually reduced us 5% during some really tough times in 2008. So, there's not a guarantee I get a year, I get a step. It's at the purview of the board. But generally speaking, past practice in the professional and administrative lane, it is a step. But it doesn't equate to some of the things happening with school-based administrators due to performance pay.
So I would recommend, since school-based administrators are performance pay and an RN is not going to be, maybe there's some clarification on how that person enters as opposed to switching a whole lane, of providing more clarity so that if somebody is working 10 years as an RN, I know that, hey, 0 is 55,000, but at 10 years, what's that, 69,000? So maybe there is, and you may have this, so if I'm ignorant to where that is, I'm happy to go research this, as this was a new topic that was brought up. But maybe that's part of the issue as well, because I would imagine somebody at the level we're requiring of those administrative tasks, we're not going to hire a brand new RN, which means they're going to have some experience, which means they technically would, by default of the requirement of the position, be already higher up on a step.
And I guess the only place I would go with that, just to kind of, all experience is not equal. So if my 5 years are in the NICU at a hospital, and then I have another nurse candidate that has 5 years, and it's at Miami-Dade County within their supervisory lane. Obviously, those 5 years of experience come with an acumen that's more focused to what we would need. So I wouldn't place them both necessarily automatically on step 5.
Right, sure. I totally understand that, and your judgment is what would be needed. But my point that I'm making is the likelihood of this district RN coming in at a 0 is probably low.
Yes.
So just to clarify, just because we're starting at 55,000, that does not mean that somebody may be hired in that position. It could be higher, like she was just discussing.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what is the schedule? Are they working through the summer? Because when kids are not in school,
This is a 12-month position, and we actually understood that there was a need definitely for that over the summer as we ran into some documentation that was definitely required. Our nurse supervisor, and we lacked the position, so it did create a struggle.
I would love for nurses to make a lot of money as well as teachers. I want them to make a lot of money. But you do have to consider it's different than when you're in a hospital and you're dealing with body fluids and you're working on holidays and you're there at night shift. So it's a little bit different. So this is kind of tough.
Well, I just from my perspective, I agree. Everybody we could make the argument that everybody needs to be paid more, but I don't think there's enough information here tonight for myself to make a decision just like this on a single motion. So that's just my position. So we have a motion right now, and from PAL3 to PL4 full lane. So if there isn't any more discussion, I'll call the vote on the motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails 4-1. Okay. So we are still with 1801 now. We only had one motion on there,
that was
right?
it.
Okay. So I'd entertain a motion to approve 18.01.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Bars,
Second.
second by Ms. Ruddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Okay. Now, that moves us on to 19.01. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Motion by Ms. Chong,
Second.
second by Ms. Ruddy. Any discussion on this agenda item?
Yes, please.
You have the floor.
So this was a tremendous amount of work, months and months involved. Great job by the district leadership team, the superintendent's cabinet, and fellow board members. We had some really great discussions, dove into some items. I thought it was very healthy and productive. I did want to address Neola Policy 8500, which wasn't necessarily workshopped, where people would be really familiar with maybe some of the language and the whys and what's happening. And that's largely because that policy is not solely our policy. That policy is in relation to the federal healthy school, I'm sorry, what's the full name of it? Does anybody know? I'm sorry, Ms. Bush. Yes. And so what is the name of that federal policy, Ms. Bush?
It's the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010.
Correct. So, yeah, I was just quizzing you. No, I'm just and so I know that the pain point around this particular policy is that it states that the sale of food goods on campus needs to comply with the nutritional guidelines set forth by the federal government. There can be exceptions for certain fundraisers. And that is a policy that we have adhered to. There's an approval system that goes through the administrator's office at each school. But the difference here is an additional line item which states that 30 minutes before a lunch period begins and 30 minutes after, then those fundraiser activities, when they involve the sale of food, cannot happen at the time that the lunchroom is serving lunch. And I wanted to provide some insight after discussing with Ms. Bush, and then I'll allow her to also elaborate, because, we know that a lot of these fundraising efforts involve food. That's what sells, right, for the kids, and I understand that. But we also need to ensure that our food service program is self-sustaining, meaning all of the money that they bring in must pay for those salaries, the food, as well as any equipment in that area. And so if we have additional funds that during the lunchtime students are going to choose the fundraiser baked goods or whatever it might be, instead of those cafeteria offered items, we're going to run into an issue where money would have to come out of our general fund. And that is becoming a real issue with higher restrictions on qualifying for Medicaid and SNAP, meaning less students will qualify, meaning those funds are not coming in, which is generally how we're affording right now the free lunch for all. So Ms. Bush, if you could weigh in on that and the impact and how you're trying to manage that financial aspect of the lunch program, that would be helpful.
Gosh, that was fantastic. No, with regard to the board policy that's in front of you, just to clarify that it has existed in a board-approved plan since shortly after 2010 when we were required to implement the federal guidelines. So it has lived here. It has just lived in a space that not a lot of people were aware of, and it was hard to trace and track and just follow the whole system that we should have in place for it. So when we updated the board policies, it was an opportunity to codify this in the place where it should have been shortly after 2010. With regard to, and Ms. Ruddy, you explained it so well, I don't know that I can add too much unless you have further questions for me regarding how the program works and regarding the board policy. It is getting harder and harder to find ways to increase revenue in the school meal program because there is a tremendous amount of competition. There just is, and there always has been, but after post-pandemic, there are challenges there now that didn't exist then. So we're trying to find ways to be creative and exist in this new world past any of the supply chain issues that we still have and rising costs at a rate that you see it in the grocery store. What you see in the grocery store, we experience the same thing in our food programs. It's the same rises in costs in all of the food items. So it is a challenge, but I think you described the situation very, very well, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions or concerns you might have about the policies themselves.
Could you elaborate on the ability, if a organization wanted to broker an agreement with a food service manager and say, let's do a split of the revenue, is that something that would comply with the requirements?
Absolutely, it would. If there was a profit sharing piece between the entity and the food service department, that could be agreed upon outside of the parameters of it's in the policy actually, and there isn't a specific percentage there. That would be something that we could work on internally.
That's awesome. Very generous of you. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, then I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Okay, so that concludes our business for this evening, and we will now open up for public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Yes, we have 7 people signed up for public comments.
Okay.
Our first person is Christy Butler, speaking on transportation.
Welcome.
Good evening, Superintendent Moore, board members. I'm here tonight to raise a serious concern about the bus stop at Old Kings Road and Sugar Mill Drive in regards to the students that live in Eagle Lakes. The stop is located on a 4-lane highway or 4-lane road with a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit where drivers regularly break the law by passing stopped school buses. Yesterday, my neighbor Kenny was almost struck by a car that sped past a fully stopped bus with the lights and the stop arm that was out. Just last week, another parent at the bus stop was almost hit under the same circumstances. Last year, children were getting off the bus, and it was the same thing. Let me stick to my script here. In the last few years, my children have been bus riders at the stop. Let's see here. The school year, they always start at the Sugar Mill entrance, and about 2 weeks in, they change it into the Eagle Lakes neighborhood. We are now entering week 3, and the stop has not been moved. Parents in our neighborhood have chosen to drive and pick up their children, not because we don't value the bus transportation, but because we cannot take the risk of exposing them to such dangerous conditions. I also want to note that the parents of our neighborhood have followed the correct avenues. To my knowledge, we've all completed the transportation survey and have not received a resolution. That is why I'm here speaking tonight. This is not a small concern. It is a preventable tragedy that is waiting to happen. I urge the district to act immediately and relocate this stop to inside the neighborhood where the children can safely enter and exit the bus. I invite each of you to come and sit with me at the bus stop in the morning or the afternoon. I'll provide the chairs. I'll even provide a cooler of water if you'd like. But please don't wait until we lose a child or a parent because this change has not yet been made. Thank you for your time. Have a good night. I invite you anytime you want. Come sit with me. I'll even play music.
Thank you for your comments. Next.
The next comment is from Karen Smith on transportation.
Glad you gave me a timer so I can keep track. Good evening, Chair, Superintendent Moore, and board members. My name is Karen Smith. I have 2 children who attend Flagler County Public Schools, one of whom is an ESE student, and this is their 4th year as bus riders. I decided to be proactive in voicing my transportation concerns this year because last year our issues went unresolved until the end of October and did not result in permanent fixes. I want to thank Superintendent Moore and Ms. Ramirez for being receptive to concerns and generous with your time these past few weeks. I also want to thank FESPA for their time, support in being here tonight, and acknowledge our outstanding bus drivers, aides, and staff who care deeply for our kids. Upon listening to the workshop this afternoon, I also want to acknowledge the board as a whole and Mr. Walker for working collaboratively toward transportation solutions. During today's workshop, I was encouraged to hear several transportation initiatives that directly align with the concerns and recommendations of parents, specifically centered on ensuring safety and improving communication through SOPs, training, technological improvements, and closing financial gaps. Some things already put in place include new protocol for kindergarten riders, distribution of ESE bus rider forms, the transportation concern submissions form, and diverting calls so parents are actually able to reach someone on the phone when the buses are running. Parents have noticed and appreciate these improvements. Ideas in the works, including fixed routes year over year for continuity for our students and our drivers, a bus status page for real-time reliable updates, planned technological fixes, and increased training for drivers and aides are also welcome changes. As an ESE parent, I'd love to see the forms go out over the summer instead of after the school year has started, much like our annual registration, along with driver meet and greets, so our drivers are prepared and our families have peace of mind before starting the school year. Finally, should we receive it, I support the idea of earmarking a portion of the Royal Renaissance to ensure our driver pay is competitive, as well as to invest in ESE-specific training. My ask is simple: keep the momentum going, and continue to include parents and drivers as partners in these changes. Together, we can ensure safe, reliable transportation that families can trust, and where our drivers and aides feel prepared, valued, and supported. Thank you for your time.
Our next comment is from Kimberly Escobar on transportation.
Welcome.
Good evening, Chair, Superintendent Moore, and members of the board. First, I would also like to express my appreciation to Superintendent Moore and Ms. Ramirez for their time and willingness to listen to parent concerns over the past few weeks. I also want to thank FESPA for their continued support and being present here tonight. And most importantly, I want to acknowledge the many bus drivers, aides, and support staff who genuinely care for our children and demonstrate daily dedication under very challenging circumstances. My name is Kimberly Escobar, and I am the mother of a child with autism who attends one of our Flagler County public schools. My primary concern this evening is the critical need for comprehensive training for transportation staff, particularly for those working with children with exceptionalities. When I requested a copy of the training curriculum last week, I received a PowerPoint presentation. Respectfully, a slideshow is not training. There is no assessment of comprehension, no demonstration of competency, no opportunity for skill validation. Without structured interactive training, our drivers and aides are being set up for failure, and our children are being placed at risk. At the workshop today, additional training was brought up. Although the thought is appreciated, transparency and communication must accompany these efforts to ensure families, staff, and the community understand what the training includes, how effectiveness will be measured, and how it will translate into safer, more supportive transportation for our children. The absence of proper preparation has real implications for safety and student well-being. There are currently no established de-escalation protocols, no consistent use of communication tools such as PECs for nonverbal children, and little emphasis on the importance of predictability and routine for students with autism. Yelling or raising voices in moments of stress is not only ineffective, it can be traumatic for students who may not process social cues in the same way. Beyond training, several systemic issues need attention. Drivers are not consistently able to maintain the same routes, which undermines the continuity of care and relationships with students. Driver hours have been reduced despite the department remaining short-staffed and currently down 9 routes. ESC routes were recently changed without advance notice or consultation from families, raising questions about authorization and communication. Drivers are not automatically provided with essential IEP information, including communication methods, behavioral supports, and safety concerns. This information should be available before a route begins, not upon request. There are practical, attainable solutions, such as implement hands-on equipment and harness training for transportation staff and parents, host annual Meet the Driver events to build trust and reduce anxiety for students and families, consider establishing a recruitment and retention fund for transportation staff, similar to the teacher incentive fund discussed at the last workshop, and also pursuing grants such as the Renaissance grants and request allocations specifically for training improvements and competitive pay for our drivers and aides. I do not raise these concerns simply to point out problems. I want to be part of the solution. I respectfully offer to collaborate with the district to help develop and implement strategies to improve training, safety, consistency in our transportation system. Thank you for your time and your commitment to ensuring both the safety of our students and the support of the staff who serve them.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next comment is from Jeffrey Burchell on parent notification. With Jeffrey not being here, our next comment is from Lisa Torres on ESC training.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Torres. I'm the president of the Flagler Educational Support Personnel Association. It's a long title. I'm here tonight on behalf of our parents, our students, and my members, the aides, paras, bus drivers, and extended day workers, and the many other support staff who show up every day to serve and protect our students. This year has shown us something important. While classrooms and extended day programs provide more structure, the staff in those settings are still being confronted with behaviors, sometimes physically violent, and from an email I just received 20 minutes before I walked in here, life-threatening, without clear training on how to respond. And on our buses, the challenge is even greater. We have multiple emergency exits, moving traffic, other children in close proximity. The strategies that work in one setting often do not translate to another, and our people are left to figure it out on their own. I want to acknowledge that members have raised the issue before, and while in the past it didn't gain traction, I have recently had long, productive conversations with the superintendent, the temporary acting liaison, Mr. Toussaint, who listened and understood to our concerns. Ms. Moore herself has reached out and asked me to help her keep her informed of any shortcomings that come forward so they can be addressed. And that gives me hope that we could work together on real solutions. However, as union president, I cannot stand by while my people are left to take the blame for challenges they were never prepared to handle. We need job-specific training for buses, for extended day, and for every environment where our students need support. My members deserve it, our parents deserve it, and our students deserve it. We stand with our parents, we stand with our students, and most of all, we stand together. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Our next comment is from Emery Kirkland on bus stop.
Hello, my name is Emery Kirkland, and I go to Belterra Elementary School, and I live in the B section. And we should add bike racks because I couldn't walk my bike and somebody stole my bike, and eventually I got a new one, and there is no space to put my bike on the stop sign, and we should add a little bit of concrete around it. Thank you.
Thank you, young man, for coming forward and sharing that with us. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry your bike was stolen.
Our next comment is from Peter Johnson on speeding in school zones.
Evening, members of the board. I promise you I did not make him do that. He asked me to come up here and speak on that, or else I wouldn't be here. One thing I just wanted to make a comment on is, I know that this isn't directly related to you guys, but it's within the school zones, is I have noticed in the morning people ignoring those yellow lights and doing way above the speed limit through the school zones. I literally drove through one yesterday. The cop had a guy pulled over, writing him a ticket as the guy was walking through the crosswalk, and the guy in the other car just blew through and just was weaving in and out of traffic. It is a extremely dangerous presence for those cars to be speeding like that. So whatever we have to do to work in coordination with Sheriff Staley to make sure that those people are being ticketed heavily for their actions. Additionally, and I didn't know they were going to be speaking about the bus stops tonight. I love youth sports. I think it's awesome. However, I live in the C section, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, the soccer game in the middle of the street when they're waiting for the bus stop is also causing some traffic issues as well. I live in probably the only area in interior Palm Coast that actually has sidewalks, so that encourages the parents to then park on those sidewalks in the car, which when the bus comes and all the people going out for work at that time, mixed with the youth sports in the morning, which I'm all for, but again, not in the middle of the road. It just leads to some possible issues there. And final thing I'll leave you guys with traffic theme is that car line that is backing up on the road for the pickup and drop off is also posing some dangerous threats there. People don't realize, unless you're local, people don't realize that you're pulling into that traffic lane there and they get backed up in that line. And then the school flashing lights aren't on, so the other lane's doing 45, and then people, as they're backed up, are pulling out, and it's potentially causing accidents. I know it's still early in the school system, but just a lot of issues to address that are definitely preventable. So thank you all for your time tonight, and I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you for
and
your
good luck,
comments.
Mr. Bars. I believe this is your last meeting, correct, sir? Not sure yet. Well, good luck if it is. Thank you.
Our next comment is from LaKeisha Ayers-White on transportation.
Welcome.
Good morning, board, Chair Furry and Ms. LaShakia. Ms. Moore, I'm here as a school bus driver. Not only as a school bus driver, as a CDL trainer. I just want to share a couple of things that what I heard tonight from the parents in regards to ESC and in regards to information, IEPs, information. We are, all drivers and aides are made aware that if you would like to see that, we cannot keep it, but if you would like to see the IEP, you have every right to go inside and request to look at every child's IEP. So that is known to all drivers and aides. It seems like it's a little confusion going on from what's happening at transportation and reality. I've been gone for a year, and I want to say I've been employed with the district for 11 years. I done went through plenty of directors. I done saw an office staff shift. This year, yes, there has been changes, but changes are good. It's supposed to be Flagler forward. Am I correct? That's what the goal is, what we're aiming for. So it just needs to be patience put in place and everybody stick together for things to work out. It's not going to jump off, it's not going to be straight in the beginning, but we stick together, have better communication, things will work out better. So I just want to say, I'm glad to be in transportation. I am looking forward to what Flagler Forward brings to transportation. And that's it. I just want to speak on behalf of the bus driver. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no further public comments.
Okay. We will close public comments now and move on to board member requests. Are there any requests this evening?
Just real quick, the Male African American Program website needs to be updated. I think we had this in motion previously, but the individual who was there moved. It still needs to be addressed. But I also want to just give props to the schools who this year, the coordinator of the African American Mentorship Program has reported that there is a liaison for every campus to kickstart the year off of. I think except for one, but we'll get that one. Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Okay, we'll close board member request, and we'll move on to closing comments. Ms. Ramirez, would you like to begin?
Yeah, all right. Well, first, thank you to all the parents and community members that came and spoke, and children. So I know it's not easy, but it's really great to hear from you all, because that's who we're working for you. So I appreciate that you took the time out of your day. And, we've talked a lot at our workshop today from my perspective from week 1 and then to week 2, and now we're in week 3, closing out of school. I have only seen positive from transportation and everything with school. So things will get better. I see it getting better. However, if we don't see it getting better, then, that's when we communicate more. So I want to just let all the parents know, thank you so much for emailing, calling, coming to these meetings, because if we don't know, what we don't know, we don't know. But I do feel positive about the future. So thank you guys for that. This week, PTO, Parent-Teacher Organization, and School Advisory Councils had the opportunity to go to 3 different ones, brought my son. It was amazing. So I want to just make sure parents know that those meetings are so important. I talked about Title I funding, and then when schools get a grade A, there's more funding, and those parents that are involved, they're able to help vote on where that money goes. So if you're able to go, just check it out, see if you like it. And I do know, I went to Rimfire and I saw some of the parents there, and they said, hey, if there's something wrong, let's find a solution. So joining forces, you may be able to help create something and find that solution together. So thank you for all of the campuses doing that. Also, with regards to traffic and safety, so I'm glad Mr. Johnson brought that up. So all my children either ride a bike, walk, and I ride my bike sometimes with them, or walk, and I see a lot of things that happen. Those crossing guards are incredible, but that's one. There's 2 at each one. Mr. Robert and they call him Slim, they literally would die for our children, even us as adults. Months ago, I found out about the flashing lights. Some other districts have cameras on them. So, that could be something where we could look into, there's so many things, but I think just keeping everyone accountable. So safety is important, helmets are important, but the traffic, the speeding has to stop. A lot of kids are riding bikes, and I appreciate hearing more about the bus stops, because today at the workshop, we learned about things that are moving forward. So I'm eager to see how that bus stop is, and maybe that's one that was looked at already. So again, this is a full circle of just communicating, and just thank you so much to these parents for reaching out, because we're here to work with you. And the union with our transportation, I know they're working for you as well. We just got to work together and then somehow come up with a solution. The ESE training, I know Dr. Halliday has been doing some type of training the past 2 years, and so maybe this is an opportunity to look at how can we make this an official training. And again, there's more to it than just having a training made and having it done. We have to look at hours, transportation team, they have to come and get it done. They need to be paid for that training. So these are really good opportunities, I think, for the district to look at and to move forward for safety of the drivers, the aides, the kids, and then also knowing that they can look at the IEPs. So that was one thing. I sat down and talked with HR and transportation and ESE departments. So drivers and aides do have an opportunity, but do they have the time to go in there and read? If anyone's ever seen an IEP, they're long. They're not. It's not a one page, a one reader. It never will be. And so we need to figure out a solution. So these are really good things to be brought up, but you don't know what you don't know. And I mean, I think we're moving in the right direction. I feel really, really good. And yeah, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but we're going to get close. And I do appreciate everyone being here. So, and thank you to the board. I know we've been working really hard on the back end to try to, do what we can for you all. So thank you.
So just a comment, regarding the legislative platform. I understand this evening that there was a need to have more information, but I would also remind folks that, we do have that agenda advertised in advance. Those documents were added. Ms. Kirkland and others are always there to ask questions, and that seems to be a repeated item where we need more time. If that time is needed, then we need to bring these items that are really large in nature earlier to the school district. If we need that additional time, maybe there's something different in between our information and workshops and the actual school board meeting. But I would hate for something to get stuck because of a question regarding, where a federal fund contribution that could have been answered with the phone call for that individual. And some of that is difficult as a board member. I experienced that myself. And essentially the only time we can collaborate with each other is in the public eye. And I understand the need for that, but it makes it difficult to communicate and also restricts the time that we have to do that. So I'm really hoping that even though we voted in order to separate those elements, the workforce funding, those changes could greatly impact not only our school scores by increasing the number of students who do not wish to pursue a traditional bachelor's degree, but also can increase the number of students in dual enrollment for career and trades, which would also provide benefits to our local community. With regard to transportation, I'm a mom of 3 girls, and so I've had children riding the bus now for 17 years concurrently. So, and my father, when he retired, was actually a school bus driver, and I rode the bus. So I understand it should be one of those things that's provided and you don't even think about, right? Like it's a convenience and it should go smooth and all of these great things. But when dollars are constrained, when we have a city whose speed limits, honestly, I don't even agree with within communities. The road outside my house is 45 miles per hour. Sometimes it's difficult, right? But it doesn't mean we can't make progress. And, you know, I'm one where I prefer to kind of dig in and see what can we do to improve things. So I had last week, because of my experience with the school buses this year, where my child did not have her bus pick her up for 2 weeks, and I did not receive the communications that I would have expected, nor the information in Here Comes the Bus. I sat down with Mr. Walker, as well as taking in a bunch of the communications that I've seen shared in social media and also directly with me, and said, well, what can we do right now until we get to where we want to be? So he, as well as Ms. Phillips and Mr. Deasing, you know, all it took is to just sit down in a room, and we brainstormed for an hour. And we've come up with something right now that is going to improve the communication regarding the timeliness of the buses. And if we sit down and brainstorm about the training, which seems to be the theme across the individuals who shared this evening, I'm sure we can also find a way forward. But yes, there are, as Ms. Ramirez alluded to, financial difficulties, right? Where when you bring in individuals for training, we need to pay them. Our salary schedule is set on a certain number of days. Sometimes it means that that training is voluntary. But also, let's take a moment and think about where we came from, right? A couple of years ago, we didn't even have bus aides. So we're making progress. We hear you about the training and some of those excellent recommendations. In terms of cars flying by the buses, our bus transportation and our technology department have worked in tandem to identify some technology that would actually automatically report to the law enforcement that somebody had passed that bus arm when it was down. And it's pretty remarkable because they're willing to provide that software essentially for free because they're that confident they'll make back the money in the tickets. So that's interesting. So I'll definitely take that as an assignment to go look that up to find out where we are with that particular possible solution. So I thank everybody with their professionalism with which they brought forward these concerns, because I know it can be very frustrating. And, you know, I'm sitting there in my pajamas without shoes on, having to run out to drive my kid to school. And I have the ability to do that because I work from home in my other portion of my job. But I sit there every day and think about the parents that cannot have that time to be able to do that. And I pass the students who are waiting for 45 minutes. But I will tell you that every single bus driver, and I've sat on those buses,
If you can wrap up your thoughts.
only has care
past the 5 minutes,
and
Ms. Ruddy.
warm, thank you, and warm thoughts and wants to do that job to the best of their ability. And Mr. Walker also wants to do that job to the best of his ability, and
Ms. Ruddy,
is trying
more
very
respect
hard,
of the other
and we're
members,
making
but I'd ask you
progress.
to
I
please wrap up your-
appreciate
okay.
that. Again, thank you very much for those comments and their professionalism.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I won't beat the old horse to death. I just want to thank you all for being here today and for bringing those concerns to us. I really appreciate it, and the work that I know that will go into being able to solve some of these issues that have been brought up. And so I want to close with this. It's been an incredible honor to serve on the Flagler County School Board. Over the past year, I've had the privilege of working alongside Superintendent Moore and my fellow board members up here today, and so many dedicated teachers, staff, and community members who want only the best for this community. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've had to be appointed to this position and proud of what we've accomplished together. What has always inspired me about Flagler School since I walked in the front door of being able to go through the orientation is a shared vision of the mission, vision, and values that and the guiding principles that this organization has. Our mission is to ensure that every student has a chance to succeed, and that's what parents have been here today to talk about, in a safe environment, even in our roadways. with high expectations and opportunities to grow, our vision to be a leader in education. I believe we're on the cusp of making sure that we are the leader, one of the leaders in this country. A district where students graduate prepared to take on the world as responsible, confident citizens is what we all want. And our guiding principles remind us that we put children first in everything that we do. We show trust and respect for all. We work together as a team, and we pursue excellence while recognizing the needs of each individual child because everybody is unique. I'm proud of the progress we've made as a district and confident in the direction we're headed under Ms. Moore's leadership and the continued work of this board. As I prepare to step away in September, I don't know if this will be my last meeting or there'll be another one, so I want to go ahead and say this now in case I don't get to show back up again. In my new role at the U.S. Department of Transportation, and I want to leave you with this, and how we carry ourselves matters. Even when we disagree with one another, Mrs. Ruddy, always a challenge, and I learned so much from you and so many others on this board. We owe it to our students, our staff, our community to show the respect and professionalism and unity of purpose. People are watching what we do. And how we lead in Flagler County Schools should remain an example of how we do things right. To our teachers and staff, thank you. You are the heart of this district. Every classroom lesson, every act of support, every behind-the-scenes effort makes the difference from small to large. It takes all of us working together, as I mentioned, to give every kid the very best, and you do that every single day, and I thank you for what you do when you get up, when it's so hard, when you don't want to get up and go deal with it, and I understand that. Education is changing, and the needs of our students are changing with it. We must keep adapting, keep innovating, and always looking for ways to be better. I don't yet know the exact date, as I mentioned earlier, that I'll be leaving, but I'll share as soon as I do with this board and the governor who has appointed me to this position. What I do know is that I love Flagler Schools and this community. It has been one of the greatest privileges of my life to represent District 1 and this entire county as the District 1 school board member, and I hope I've served you well from a personal note. And thank you for your time, sir.
I'm like emotional now. Mr. Bars, we are very proud of you and excited for your future. Sad that you won't be with us. It's you're being called to keep going in your purpose, and it's really awesome. And I think it speaks to the testament of the fact that Flagler County has wonderful people, and you're one of them, and that you'll get to serve this country. So, thank you. I've been very happy this last year in this board working together. We have our different views, but I do believe that we've been very respectful of each other and have worked together. So it's going to be tough to see that change. But again, excited for you going forward. Thank you to the parents that came out tonight. We want to hear from parents. We always say it. We don't know what's going on if we don't hear from y'all. And these first couple weeks of school can be tough, and we're putting pressure on the district and our superintendent. But it helps us to know what's going on. And I know, like Lauren had said earlier, one of us always reaches out and calls somebody between the five of us. So just appreciate that. It's been a great first couple weeks of school. My youngest came home. He's like, I had a great day. It's so good when you hear something like that from your kids. That's what you want to hear. I know there's lots of changes that we can always improve, and we need to keep improving. But I'm always glass half full, being thankful, having gratitude. I'm thankful that we live in a great community. We have beautiful facilities. Our children are safe. They are protected by our sheriffs. And just, remaining thankful. So appreciate y'all coming out tonight and looking forward to everything as the year goes on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, board, for another great meeting. Just want to touch on a couple of things. I have served now for about 2.5 years, and I will say that during that period of time, when it comes to workshopping and moving things along, I have never seen policy held up because of lack of information, especially when it comes to the agenda through the staff. And, any board member can bring up an idea at any time, can bring a motion at any time, but an idea is just an idea. And I think that we need to share our ideas with each other, but there's two components to that. It's like we have an idea, okay, now how are we going to pay for it? So I encourage board members when they're going to bring something forward that they have all the components there for everybody to make a decision. Otherwise, we will need more time because we have very precious resources here that are allocated. And tonight with the vote that was to not advance that other special project, local project, was not against the spirit of the project. I think almost all of us agree that it has merit and would benefit our students. But again, a funding component has to be part of it. And that's not over. That may be revisited. We may find those dollars. And if we do, then I feel it's from my District 2 seat, then it is a good use of time to allocate resources to pursue that once we have all those pieces to the puzzle. So with that said, I also want to thank this board for an amazing effort and a feat that we accomplished together, which was to update all of our policies, all of our district policies, some that have not been looked at for 20 years in some cases. This was a monumental moment for our district and our organization. It's going to set us up for success, not only for this board, but future boards to come. So again, just a heartfelt gratitude to all of you for all the extra hours, meetings. I know you had to be reading these at home late at night. This is not the most joyful part of the job, but the accomplishment is, I would say, right? So the other thing I wanted to touch on was the Potato Bowl last week, and although it was delayed a little bit, we had about an hour and a half delay because of lightning. It was still a wonderful event, and for those that were there or may have seen in the news, while we were waiting, we were blessed with a beautiful double rainbow over the whole school and the field. So somewhere under a rainbow, there's a football game. So, but it was a lovely evening as always. And just to Mr. Bars, I appreciate the words you shared tonight. It's truly been an honor serving with you. If it's tonight is our last meeting, so be it. I hope there's at least one more, but I know we'll all stay together as friends. And again, I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And Superintendent Moore?
Happy 12th day of school. I know you have missed me counting up all the days. I just want to say it, since this is the first time I've had a chance to say it this year, is I count the days really as an opportunity for us to remember that each day is a new opportunity. And so we are gearing up to go full force towards the 100th day of school, and then we shift our focus as we gear up for graduation for our seniors. So happy 12th day of school. So many great things happening, and I just want to share a couple things. One, if you have not had an opportunity this afternoon at the 1 o'clock meeting, the technology department, all of my words, Ms. Ruddy, I'm like you from earlier, jumbling up. Our technology department launched our Ask Flagler Schools AI chat on the Flagler School's website. If you go onto it, ask it questions. But if it does not give you the information or accurate information, please click on the link that says contact us and give us that information. We really want to make sure that we're getting good feedback from that. So all of you here in the crowd, I do ask you to go on and ask it a question, as well as those of you who are listening. So go on, engage with it, fill out the contact us if it doesn't answer your question or if it's something that you believe needs to be updated. I also want to share that next board meeting, we will be introduced to our new student board members that will join this board to represent Flagler Palm Coast High School and Matanzas High School. So we're really excited about that. We're also excited that our dear friend, Mr. Dave Freeman, finished his hike through the Appalachian Trail and will be back here with you guys. I cannot imagine walking 2,000 miles. You know, it's jumping down rocks and mountains and all of those things, sleeping outside. But he finished. We're so proud of him and his hard work and cannot wait to welcome him back as he joins us in the next couple days. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Attorney Whitmore that's here with us. He supported us through our work with Neola, helping us to get through the finish line with that. So thank you so much for your hard work and your support. We look forward to the support going forward. Tomorrow, the team will begin updating our school board docs platform to ensure that we have the new policies on the website. So go on, look at the new policies that the board has just adopted tonight, because those things will go into effect beginning tomorrow. So please, please, please go on and look at that. I want to recognize also Marcus Sanfilippo in helping us to get beyond, get to this point. When we said that we were going to do it in this time frame, Neola was like, that's pretty aggressive. I was like, we're not talking about this for a year. These policies need to be updated and we got to get moving on it. And so thank you to the two of you for all of your work. To all of the individuals who came to speak tonight to share, I want you to know that this board is committed to addressing the concerns that you've brought forward. And oftentimes that looks like engaging with myself or with staff. And so I say to you, if you've shared today or if you have more to share, please make sure you see Marcus Sanfilippo in the back. Get his card as someone that you can also reach out to along with myself. He'll be glad to meet with you, discuss, share some of the ideas that you have. And Mr. Kirkland, student Kirkland, don't worry. I'm going to make sure, we're going to get with your parents to make sure, but we're going to make sure that Mr. Corey Bush from Plant Services, as well as Mr. David Bosserdet, who's over safety, that they schedule time and they get with your parents, they schedule time to meet with you to hear what your concerns about the safety of your material, your property on our campus. And so we'll definitely follow up with you. I want you guys to know again that we are committed to listening and to hearing. And I have to end it with our guiding principle, because our guiding principles, they really gear and guide the work that we're doing. And our guiding principles say children first, trust and respect for all, empower others, teamwork, excellence, quality, and consistency, commitment to individual needs, and then my favorite one is get to yes. Thank you, and I hope you have a great night and you enjoy the 13th day of school tomorrow.
This meeting is adjourned.